Welcome back to Legacy Truths. We're going to be doing a little supplemental video on the last one, kind of going a little more in depth about current electromagnetic frequency and some of the low emitting radiation stuff. So stick around, we'll get into it.
Underforest.com.
So we definitely were talking about how sound can penetrate different materials and react in different ways, and I was wanting to get more of this information out. The last video I didn't cover what I wanted to cover. I was getting to cell phones. I have a cell phone, and I can honestly say I've never really gotten into the health and safety user warranty guide. I guess the only really warranty I've got into is when you break your phone and your carrier doesn't want to replace it, so you got to talk to the manufacturer. It's about the only time I've really contacted that. So what we have here is just a Samsung Common Phone Health and Safety and Warranty Guide, and it has a couple of things on it. Let me get this a little better here so you guys can see it. So what this is basically going to be going over is obviously exposures to radio frequency, what the FCC has done. I pulled a couple other things from the FCC and some other stuff. Obviously this goes over battery use, safety, recycling, some other stuff. But what we're concerned with today is the exposure to radio frequency signals, and that's already on page 2. So we're just pretty much right here. So the U.S. Food and Drug Administration has published information for consumers relating radio frequency exposure from wireless phones. So the FDA, this is Food, Drug, and Alcohol, or the Food and Drug Administration, excuse me. Many people are concerned that cell phone radiation will cause cancer or other serious health hazards. The weight of the scientific evidence has not linked cell phones with any health problems. Cell phones emit low levels of radio frequency or energy. Over the past 15 years, scientists have conducted hundreds of studies looking at the biological effects of radio frequency energy emitted by cell phones. While some researchers have reported biological changes associated with RF energy, these studies have failed to be replicated. The majority of the studies have published had failed to show an association between exposure to radio frequency from a cell phone and health problems. This is where it gets interesting. The low levels of radio frequency cell phones emit while in use are in the microwave frequency range. They also emit RF frequency at substantially reduced time intervals when in standby mode. Whereas high levels of radio frequency can produce health effects by heating tissue. Exposure to low-level RF does not produce heating effects known to adverse health effects. So other than heating your tissue with the higher levels of microwave, which is the same thing that we put in low, like if you wanted to be cooking some popcorn in your microwave, you're actually agitating the molecules. You're vibrating them and creating friction. Friction creates heat. Heat actually turns the popcorn, and boom, it pops, and they have popcorn. So that's the little bit higher levels of radio frequency we call the microwaves. So it goes on to say that the biological effects of radio frequency energy should not be confused with the effects from other types of electromagnetic energy. Okay. It goes on to say very high levels of electromagnetic energy is found in the X-rays and gamma rays, can ionize biological tissue. Ionization is a process where electrons are stripped away from their normal locations in atoms and molecules. It can permanently damage biological tissue, including DNA and genetic material. So that's pretty interesting that it's saying that it's okay, but at this level, at these lower levels, it's okay. As long as you can still feel yourself and you're not cooking your head, you're okay. Now another thing I wanted to do, where does it say in here? So other important safety information. It goes down here and gives a little bit of just real generic stuff. Don't store it in flammable liquids. We know it gives off pulse stuff. Failure to observe. The warranty information. But what I was wanting to get to is some of these links down below here, which is, I think it's the standard limited warranty, or what's, I think it's the index. Bear with me, folks. Let me go over here. Standard warranty. Because I just found it. Oh, man. Well, I know I had some. This document does have some links to it that I was going to, but I obviously can't find them and get them right now. So what I'll do is I still have the links up here going. So we've already gone through what the basic what is. It's all right as long as it's not done in high radio frequency level. It's not going to totally basically heat organic tissue or any organic material. Now let's go to see, according to that article right there, or that's saying that excuse me, the not the article, the PDF on the Samsung health and safety and basically warranty guide. They're telling you the FDA says it's all right, it's not a problem. So what does the FDA say on that? So the FDA here. So under the law, the FDA does not review safety of radiation emitting consumer products such as cell phones or similar wireless devices before they can be sold. It does not. It does it with new drugs or medical devices. However, the FDA has an authority to take action if cell phones are shown to emit radio frequency energy at a level that is hazardous to the user. In such a case, FDA could require cell phone manufacturers to notify users of the health hazards and repair, replace, or recall phones that no longer exist. So it goes down here, and let's see what it pretty much goes down to. Health effects of emergency, their resources. So it doesn't really give you much about who they are. They kind of say who they are, but that's not really what's going on here. So let's go switch up to this other one, which is what I found, which is the FCC.gov, radio frequency safety. And this is many consumer industrial products makes use of some form of electromagnetic energy. Because of its regulatory responsibility in the area of federal communications, often receives inquiries concerning about potential safety hazards of human exposure to radio frequency energy. The information on this page provides answers, information, and inquiries regarding radio frequency safety. And so this is what I was wanting to get into as well. So you have the National Environmental Policy Act of '69, among other things. Evaluate the effect of emission from transmitter to the human environment. I'm going to go down here, because it gets kind of specific when it talks about these orders that the FCC concludes several technical and semantic issues indicated that the revised update regulates implementing NEPA. And NEPA is the report they did, this National Environmental Policy Act that came from. And it just kind of goes on, and it goes on and on, performing that the limits and possibly the policy approaches regarding the exposure. So the problem is they're doing these things from the limit point of view. So if we can go back and just take from the common cell phone here, and they're talking about these exposure rates, while published information that consumers' radio frequencies. The FDA publicates includes the following information. Many people are concerned. So you can see on their own website they're saying that this is not what they do. This is not their normality. Now, yes, they can because of medical devices, because of if you have a pacemaker or some type of wireless emitting medical device, putting a cell phone too close to that could short that out. There's a conflict of interest, if you will, when it comes to radio frequency signals, and what they're telling you is just real basic, is that many people concerned, but we know full well that that's really there. This is just hearsay. Um, I mean, you can't use your mobile device near other electronic device against wireless mobile devices. Consult your manufacturer. Here, the implantable medical devices. A minimum separation of 6 inches should be maintained between a handheld wireless mobile device and an implantable medical device, such as a pacemaker or implantable defibrillator, to avoid potential interference with the device. Persons who have such devices should always keep more than 6 inches from their implement medical device. The mobile device is turned on. Should not carry a mobile device in a breast pocket. Should not use an ear. Should use the ear-operated implement medical device to minimize potential interference. So if they're telling you, see, now here you go. That's the Safety Gov, and I believe I went to that one. Yeah, that's the safety. We were back in there. And we can, what is radio frequency and microwave? So what is non-ionizing radiation? So this is something that's interesting. So this we've talked about this. Well, you've seen this before in other ones where they're telling you it's actually the ionization is a process of them stripping away electrons or protons or neutrons. It's basically just the particles are stripping away from the atoms and the molecules, and they're redoing the process. It's a molecular change, and so if they're doing that on a molecular level, this is what we're made of. And so we know of sound waves, and these pulse rates can go through viscous material in your flesh, and you're made up of 70% water. You have metals in your body, iron in your blood, you have zinc, you have everything, different types of metals. So this ionization also reacts with the metals in your body. That's why you get too close to a really high powerful magnet. Some individuals can sense that. So getting back to this radiation, the non-ionizing radiation, is a process by which electrons are stripped from their atoms and molecules. So again, it says this process can produce molecular changes that can lead to damage in biological tissue, including effects in DNA, the genetic material of living organisms. Any living organism, we're talking plant, anything. This process requires interaction with high levels of electromagnetic energy. Kind of like when your cell phones do at peak, when they're really looking for the cell phone tower and they're pushing out that really high intense pulse, because they don't always do that. So when they measure cell phone frequencies, they're measuring a medium. So they're going to be pulsing at a super high frequency, and then when they're at dead and zero activity, they're at this frequency. So when they publish their frequencies, it's about the medium in between. So of course you're not going to get maximum frequency exposure 24 hours a day, but isn't that all it takes, is just one peak and one molecule changes, or one ionization, one stripping process of that after another and after another? And we really don't know when we say all these years, but yet there's been a lot of effects that's come out of this kind of stuff, and we still can't quite pinpoint if some of these genetic changes that we see, that we call them genetic abnormalities, are from people living under high-powered lines, or that don't use a hands-free set, or from our children from a very young age. They have that device in front of them, and it's constantly very close to their head. So it's just something that we can definitely think about. And I mean, with this in here, it's telecommunications, and this right here is wrapped up in everything. And then it goes on to say radio, television, phones, PCs, pager, quarter. I mean, it goes on and on. Police, fire departments, amateur radio, microwaves, point-to-point links, satellite communications, it goes on and on. So we can see that, again, putting on the full armor of God is going to be really the only thing that's going to protect us from this type of wireless invasion, if you will. And I mean, that's kind of a very strong word to use, but it really has condensations it has themes of something that you can't stop. You can't put your hand out and say, no, this is my constitutional right, and you can't come in. This is something that you can't stop, and this is a way to fight back and to stop it. So I appreciate it. Subscribe, ring the bell, and God bless. Thank you.